Go.
Hey folks, this is Kevin Knebl in the beautiful village of Manzanita, Oregon. And my home is about 150 yards from the water. So I'm saying hi to you from the beautiful Pacific Northwest. And if you go even Pacific Northwesterner a little bit more, you'll hit Georgie Low up in beautiful British Columbia. Hey, say hi, Georgie.
Hello, hello.
And Georgie is helping me with the technical side of this because I'm pretty clueless and without clue and acluistic. And it just enables me to kind of focus on delivering the content while Georgie handles Zoom and the questions and stuff like that. So thank you, Georgie. So folks, we're gonna go for about an hour here. And this is going to be one of the free Facebook Live LinkedIn training webinars that I'm going to be conducting as a way to pay it forward during these crazy times during the Corona apocalypse. So I did one of these, I guess maybe a week ago or something like that, and it was kind of a LinkedIn 101 high-level overview webinar. Today we're going to talk about a specific thing on LinkedIn, a specific aspect of LinkedIn, really about posting, what to post, why it's important to post, what to do with the people that are engaging with your posts, all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to give you my backstory like I did last time. I don't want to take the time, but basically I speak all around the world when planes are flying. I speak all around the world and do a lot of training, speaking, coaching, consulting, been able to help my clients generate hundreds of millions of dollars. I used to be the top salesperson for multiple companies in multiple industries. So I take kind of a unique relational approach to social media rather than a geeky tape on the glasses kind of approach. So I always like to start though with just a little context. So let me pull up something very quickly and show you, because this will provide context for pretty much anything you ever hear me talk about, whether I talk for an hour or whether I talk way too long. Everything I talk about is really rooted in this one sentence right here: all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to people they know, like, and trust. Do I know a lot about LinkedIn? Sure. But what my real expertise is in is really what I call the KLT factor, or the know, like, trust factor. Because it just makes common sense that if you have the ability to create sincere and authentic know, like, trust, you're probably going to do that wherever you go, whether it's face-to-face, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's Facebook, whether it's an email, a phone call. So it's really never about the communication tool. It's about the quality of the communication. So there's that. The other thing I want to show you real quick is that whether I talk for a short time or a really long time, I'm really always pointing to a simple 3-step system that I teach. And it's very, very simple. I approach it from 100 different angles, but I'm always just coming back to 3 steps. Whether you're looking for a job, whether you're looking for clients, whether you're looking for referrals, whether you're looking for a date, whatever it is you're looking for, you probably never thought of it this way, but there's really only 3 steps. Number 1, you have to have a way to find the people that you want to do business with, or the people that you want to do business with have to have a way to find you. Now, the topic we're going to talk about here in a couple of seconds, which is posting, would be a way that the people that you want, to work with can find you. When you post something on LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or wherever you post, you're kind of putting it out there into the universe, and you're attracting to you the people, versus going out and specifically looking for a certain type of person, which I'll do another webinar another time on that. So you have to have a way to find the people, or the people have to have a way to find you. Once you find them, then you have to have a way to start a conversation with them in a manner that they don't tell you to go take a hike. And this is the step that most people need the most help with, because we've often been taught in business to be far more aggressive than we really should be. And just like you wouldn't walk up to a stranger and kiss them because you think they're attractive, it probably isn't a good idea to find your prospects and then try to all of a sudden start hitting them with your sales pitches or your elevator pitches or anything like that. That doesn't really make a lot of sense when you think about it. So The first step is you got to find the peeps. Second step is you got to start a conversation with the peeps. And then once you do that, you're actually farther along than you probably even realize you are, because then all you have to do is figure out how to stay top of mind, but not in a pestering way. I teach a very simple and effective system for staying top of mind. Part of what we're going to cover in this webinar today is one aspect of this. But what most people do in business to stay top of mind actually repels the exact people they're trying to attract, because they're talking about themselves too much. Just like Georgie, if you went on a date with a guy and all he did was talk about himself, you'd probably smile politely because you're a pleasant person, but I doubt he would get a second date, because people that are wrapped up in themselves are overdressed. so
Agreed.
So one of the keys is to just remember it's never any more complicated than these 3 steps. It's always good also to be able to say to yourself, with this person that I want to do business with, which step am I in? Am I in the first step? Am I in the second step? Or am I in the, because if you know where you're at, then you kind of know what to do. But if you don't know where you're at, you're kind of shooting in the dark. So I thought that showing you that would help a little bit. Let's jump onto LinkedIn. And let's talk about posting. So once you've got a really good optimized LinkedIn profile that's really portraying you in the best light that shows your credibility and that type of thing, it's reasonable to assume that when people wake up in the morning, no matter how much they love Kevin Knebl or Georgie Lowe, they're living their own lives, and more than likely, they're probably not waking up and going, I wonder what Georgie's doing right now, or I wonder what Kevin's doing right now. They're busy people with a lot of stuff going on. So in an increasingly busy world where it's becoming somewhat more hard to get people's attention because there's so many things competing for people's attention, the question becomes, how do you stay top of mind, but not in a way that's pestering? Well, the answer is actually very, very simple. What you want to do is you want to go, if you're going to go fishing, go where the fish are. So we're talking about LinkedIn right now, but take everything that I'm about to explain to you and really apply it to any social platform, because I do the same thing on every social platform that I'm on. Whether I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, those are the 4 that I spend the most time hanging out on. I pretty much follow the same exact approach because I look at it like gravity. Gravity only works one way. When you drop something, it goes down. Well, it's not like the way you want to stay top of mind on LinkedIn is going to be different than how you do it on Facebook versus Twitter. It's still going to be very, very similar. Now, some of the content that I share on LinkedIn might be different than what I share on Facebook. Facebook is far more, it's more relaxed. LinkedIn is known primarily for business. So a lot of the things that I post on Facebook, I'm not going to post on LinkedIn because it's just not the appropriate place to do that. But the philosophy or the thinking behind what I'm doing is exactly the same. So let's take a very simple approach to this. Georgie, if you belonged to a gym, and I don't know if you're on mute, Georgie, but if you are, take yourself off for a second, please.
Okay.
If you went to a gym and you only went there once a month, a lot of the people at the gym wouldn't really recognize you. They would say, hey, there's that blonde lady again. And then you disappear into the witness relocation program for another month. And then a month later, they'd say, hey, there's that blonde lady again, right? But if you went to that gym on a consistent basis, a couple times a week, people would start to recognize you. Now, it's the same way with social platforms. I tell people, if you're going to be on a social platform, be on the platform. So again, these are just what I'm teaching right now, folks. These are my opinions, but I really don't want to call them opinions because they're backed with a lot of evidence. If you're going to get known someplace, you got to show up. So if you show up once a month on LinkedIn, it's reasonable to assume that people aren't going to remember you. They're not even going to know who the heck you are. But if you show up once a day, I'm going to suggest to you that if you're going to be on LinkedIn, you're going to want to post something once per day on LinkedIn. Okay, now I'm going to give you many examples over the next 50 minutes or so of what to post and why to post these things and all that kind of stuff. But just decide, just like if you joined a gym. If you joined a gym, just decide, I don't care if I'm tired. I don't care if I'm, whatever, just drag your butt out of bed and get to the gym, right? So if you're going to be on Facebook, post something on Facebook once a day. If you're going to be on Twitter, post something on Twitter once a day. Same thing with LinkedIn. Whatever platform you're on, go there, okay? Now, I'm going to suggest you only post once a day on LinkedIn to start. Again, LinkedIn is not Facebook. If you start posting 5, 10, 15 times a day on LinkedIn, you're going to start to repel people. And I don't care how fascinating you think your content is, unless you're Bill Gates, people are going to be like, why is this person clogging my newsfeed? So I would start with just once a day. And then if you're an overachiever at some point, take it up to twice a day, maybe. But don't treat it like Twitter or Facebook. Now, I'm also going to suggest that most of the questions that people have about social media actually aren't social media questions. When you really drill down, most of the questions are interpersonal questions, conversational questions, when you really think about it. Just like in your car, you don't ask a lot of questions about the transmission because the transmission takes care of itself. So similar to face-to-face, I'm suggesting that when you post, you adopt what I refer to as my 80-20 rule. And my 80-20 rule is very simple. Only 20% of anything that you post should ever be directly related to you or your services. Now, when I initially suggest this to people, a lot of times people say to me, Kevin, really? You're serious? Only 20%? I'm totally serious, because it's just like interpersonal skills. If I was sitting with Georgie, I would try to speak 20% of the time and allow her to do most of the talking. But I wouldn't do it because it's some manipulation technique. I'm not doing some reverse psychology thing. It's just that I already know what I know. When I open my mouth, I'm not learning anything. I'm just regurgitating what I know. So if I can ask intelligent questions of Georgie, then she can share with me how she thinks, how she sees the world, and we can start to develop a relationship. But if I dominate the conversation, she'll just nod politely, but she doesn't want to ever see me again. So one of the reasons why people struggle to use social media effectively isn't because they don't understand social media. It's because they've never studied interpersonal or conversational skills. Think about that for a second. A communication tool is only as effective as the communication skills of the person using the tool, right? So I tell everybody, for every minute that you're trying to figure out LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter, spend 5 minutes going back to a book like Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. Because again, it will always go back, always, with no exceptions, to all things being equal. You'll forget this over and over and over and over and over and over until finally you don't forget it. And then all of a sudden, everything will start to change in your life when you realize it's about know, like, trust. So let's look at a 5-day work week. In a 5-day work week, I'm saying 20% of the time you should talk about yourself. That's one day. So let's pretend on one day of the week, and it doesn't always have to be the same. It doesn't have to be a Monday every day, just one day per week. Go on LinkedIn and go ahead and post something. Knowing that we're going into Q3 or Q2, I build a little bit of time into my calendar to do some pro bono coaching. If anybody would like to set up a conference call with me, or do whatever you want to do. Georgie, you could go and post something about your coaching or your consulting. I work with a lot of financial advisors. I often tell them, let your network know, that here, just so you know, it might help to have another set of eyeballs looking at your taxes or looking at your financial plan. Or don't be afraid to blatantly promote yourself one day a week, but I wouldn't do it more than one day a week. Now, that brings up the question, well, then what do we post the other 4 days of the week? Well, again, I take a simple approach to everything. If you're going to go fishing, go where the fish are. They're definitely here on LinkedIn. And if you're going to go fishing, use the bait that the fish like. So don't use bait that fish don't like. So I'm going to suggest that the other 80% of the time, you post a combination of information/education, and I'm going to give you examples of all of these over the next couple minutes. Information/education, inspiration, and entertainment. Now, when I initially suggest this to many people, they say, Kevin, why would I post inspirational or entertaining things? I'm not trying to be a motivational speaker. I'm not trying to do stand-up. And I say, I totally understand. But again, let's use the bait that the fish like. So let's start with information education. Georgie, you work, if you could take yourself off mute, please.
Yep.
You work with a lot of entrepreneurs, right? You help businesses up and running. You help these entrepreneurs in different ways. So if I were Georgie Lowe, I would say to myself, what kind of content would be helpful for the people that I'm trying to do business with? And that's content around entrepreneurism. So there's this thing called Google. Most of you have probably heard of it. It's going to be big. And if you went on Google, let's go to Google real quick, and you created a Google alert. Google Alerts are a free service that will monitor the internet for any word or combination of words that you want to monitor. So if you set up a Google alert on the word entrepreneur, if you set up another Google alert on the words entrepreneurship, you set up another Google alert on business owners or whatever. Now Google is monitoring the internet, and once a day or once a week, however you set it up, they're going to email you just a one-page email that has links to all of the uses of those words. By the way, speaking about Google Alerts for a second, Georgie, if someone on the internet was mentioning either of your children's names, would you want to know that?
Definitely.
Yeah, and it's not because you're overly paranoid, it's just that you would want to know. Exactly. I tell everybody, why not set up a Google alert on your own name? Set up a Google alert on your children's names. If you're married, set up a Google alert on your spouse's name. If you have the top 3 competitors of yours, set up Google alerts on their names. If you work for a company, set up a Google alert on the CEO's. If you like something, if you like fly fishing in New Zealand, set up a Google alert on fly fishing in New Zealand. So the things in my life that I have a strong interest in, I've created Google alerts around those things. So if you created a Google alert, let's say around the word entrepreneur. So let's go to entrepreneur. First, you have to know how to spell it. Then once we do that, you're going to get an email that's going to look something like this. So here we go. We're in this together, business resources. This is something from Entrepreneur Magazine. This is from TNW, whatever that is. Here's something from the Pensacola newspaper. So there's plenty of content out here around entrepreneurs. Let's go to this. Let's go to We're in this together, business resources. If I clicked on this, this is going to be an article about something that the people that Georgie can help would probably have an interest in. So what Georgie can do, if there's a link to LinkedIn right here, and there is a link to LinkedIn right here, but if there weren't, I could just go to LinkedIn, click start a post, and start, here's an interesting article, blah, 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 skip 2 spaces, go back to the link, right click, copy the link, go back to LinkedIn, paste it, give it a couple of seconds for the link to attach, back out the link so it just looks cleaner, and then you could post that, okay? So that's how you would do it manually. Let's go back to the link here. Let's click on the little LinkedIn thing. And now it's going to allow me. So watch what I would write. I would write something like this. I would click share in a post. And then I would say, so I'm going to type this quickly. If I need to go back and fix the spelling, I will. Interesting article about entrepreneurship during the coronapocalypse. I'd love to hear your thoughts if you'd like to share them. Now go wash your hands. Because I like a little bit of humor, right? Interesting article about entrepreneurship during the corona apocalypse. I'd love to hear your thoughts if you'd like to share them. Now go wash your hands. Now I always do my goofy little smiley face, but that's just me. So let's not worry about that right now. Then I could hashtag it. If you don't know what hashtags are, just hang in there or type in the chat box for Georgie to see, and I can explain that a little bit more in a minute if you want. But I could hashtag it entrepreneur. I could hashtag it entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship. Business owner. Something like that. Now, is there anything in this right here, Georgie, that is you talking about your services or yourself?
Nope, nothing.
Not at all. You are providing content that the people that you would like to do business with probably would like. If anybody listening to this now or in the future, hello people in the future, if you've read my book, The Social Media Sales Revolution, I have a term for this. It's called being a value generator. So you're generating value and you're drawing people to yourself, not because you're just talking about yourself. You're drawing people to yourself because you're paying it forward. You're helping people. You're giving them information without you having to make it about you. You're positioning yourself as a thought leader, as a subject matter expert, and you're also positioning yourself as somebody that doesn't just make it all about themselves, right? Now, if I were to hit post right now, this would go out into the news feed of all of my LinkedIn connections. And I have about 30,000 LinkedIn connections because I've been on LinkedIn for 17 years. It's reasonable to assume that many of my LinkedIn connections would have no interest whatsoever in this article. But at least they see my face go by in the news feed. They see my name go by. They see the beginning of the headline underneath my name. And even if it's only momentarily, I've come into their awareness again, but never in a pestering way. It's just, oh, there's that Knebl guy at the gym again, right? So I'm going back to the gym metaphor. Now they're starting to realize this Knebl guy, he goes to this gym a lot, but he doesn't go to the gym and try to brag. He doesn't go to the gym and just talk about himself. He goes to the gym and he kind of pays it forward. So when you post something on LinkedIn, it goes into the news feed of all of your connections, your first degree connections. So you're increasing your visibility, and some of those people are going to click the like, the comment, and the share button. We're going to talk in a couple minutes about what to do with those people. So when we talk about information and education, think about what would be information that the people you want to do business with, whatever that means to you, what would be information that would be helpful to them, and then share it. And then notice how I'm asking them to comment. I didn't just say interesting article. People love to give their opinions. So I encourage them to. I'd love to hear your thoughts if you'd like to share them, right? So that's one idea of content. Now, Georgie, let's go a different direction. Let's say you want to do more business with people in your basic geographic area, okay? So you live in the greater Vancouver area, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I could go to Google and I could say something like this. Google top Vancouver restaurants 2020. And now I'm going to pull up some links. So here we go. I've got 38 best restaurants in Vancouver, 20 bucket list eats, your winner. So let's go with this one here. 38 best restaurants in Vancouver. Let's see what comes up here. So here we go. This is perfect. So there's a list of restaurants. There's a little map over here. So this is good information if somebody's looking for good restaurants in Vancouver. I don't see the LinkedIn button here. I see Pocket, Flipboard, email, Twitter, and Facebook. So this is a good example for us to use. If I go back to LinkedIn, I'm pretending I'm Georgie. Great article on some of the top restaurants in Vancouver. I'd love to hear if you've eaten at any of these because I'm always looking for another place to go stuff my face. If you're ever looking for somebody to have a good meal with, ring me up. I'm your guy, you know. Then I skip 2 spaces. I go back, I copy the link. I go back into here, I paste the link. I give it a second or 2 for the link to attach. Once it attaches, I can back out the URL. Then I hashtag it, restaurant, Vancouver, food, foodie, seafoodie, or whatever, because I'm a seafoodie. And then again, I would post that nobody is going to unconnect or unfriend me because I posted a link to some restaurants in Vancouver. But if I just talk about myself all the time, it's reasonable to assume that some people will start to disconnect from me, and there's various ways that they can actually disconnect from me without me ever knowing it, which wouldn't serve me very well at all. So the simple thing here is just don't talk about yourself too much. If you're interested in doing business in a geographic area like Vancouver, just go on Google. Find some news stories, but not downers. You know, don't post news stories that people are getting stabbed or anything. Nobody wants to read that. But post something like restaurants or something good that's happening in the news or something uplifting. So this is kind of a couple of quick examples of information/education. Okay. So again, 1 day a week, talk about yourself. Let's say that's Monday. Let's say Tuesday, you're going to post something that's information/education. Okay. Now you got 3 more days. What do we do with those 3 days? Well, let's talk about inspiration and entertainment. Most people are pretty busy and most people are pretty stressed, and especially now. And although you might post a link to an interesting article or something, people are busy. If you posted an inspirational quote, though, or something uplifting, it doesn't take long for people to just click the like button when they see it go by in the news feed, because most people need a pick-me-up. If you've ever followed me or you're friends with me on Facebook, you pretty much know that I don't post on Facebook, you know, traffic sucks and I hate this person and blah, blah, you know, because that doesn't make any sense to do that. I'm not going to get onto some soapbox about Hillary or Donald or whatever. I mean, you're just asking for trouble if you do that. By the way, some people want trouble. I just don't want trouble. So posting something that's inspirational makes a lot of sense. It also, in a way, shows your character, because we can't outrun our character, which is actually very good news when you think about it. If you don't think that the fact that you can't outrun your character, if you don't think that's good news, you have more issues than you think you do. Okay, so it's actually good that you can't outrun your character. And little things are indicators of larger things. So when people see that you're typically a pretty upbeat person, and I'm not saying be Pollyanna, and no, I'm just saying you choose, and please understand, it is a choice. You choose to be a little beacon of light in a frequently dark world. But you're not doing it as a manipulation technique. You're doing it because you realize that that's actually one of the things you're supposed to do. You're supposed to spread joy. You're supposed to spread love. You're supposed to spread peace, right? So, okay, Kev, I get the idea, motivational quotes. What do I do with that? Well, there's a couple things you could do. Watch what I could do. I could go back to Google again. Thank God for Google, right? I go to Google. If I went to Google and I typed in motivational quotes, and then once that comes up, I click images. I'm going to have enough motivational quotes for the next 6 lifetimes. Okay, I'm never going to run out. Now, I'm not saying in any way to plagiarize or anything like that. No, don't do that. That would be stupid. But let's go. Let me just give you an example of this. Why don't I take this Eleanor Roosevelt quote? Okay, with the new day comes new strength and new thoughts. It would be very simple for me to screenshot this, and I'll do it right here in front of you. I could screenshot this very quickly. I can copy it, move it to my desktop, and now I've got that picture on my desktop. I go back to LinkedIn. I hit start a post, and let's pretend it's the morning, right? And I say, and I would suggest you post in the morning. So I say something like, happy Thursday, also known as day 2746 of the quarantine. I hope you're hanging in there. Rock your, have a great day unless, hang on a second. Make it, this is what my friend Mark Madison says all the time. Make it a great day unless you have other plans. and then you just post like hashtag motivation. We shall overcome. This too shall pass. Spread the love. And this is just Kevin being goofy Kevin, right? So here we go. Happy Thursday, also known as day 2746 of the quarantine. I hope you're hanging in there. Make it a great day unless you have other plans. Okay. Then I click on this little camera because I'm going to get that picture that's now sitting on the desktop of my computer. So that picture is right here. I open that. I hit next. And now if I were to hit post, that would go out to all of my connections on LinkedIn. Nobody's going to get mad at me for wishing everybody a happy Thursday with a little humor. They're going to start to know me, like me, trust me a little bit more. You see, every interaction you have with another human being is either a deposit or a withdrawal from the emotional bank account. Every person that you interact with, and I mean everyone, I don't care if it's at the 7-Eleven when you're buying a cup of coffee. I don't care if it's your spouse. Georgie and I are friends. We haven't seen each other in 7 years face to face, but we have an emotional bank account. So when I interact with other people, I intentionally try to make deposits. I'm not kissing ass. I'm not sucking up. I'm not blowing smoke up your skirt. I'm just trying to be a good human being, right? So I try to make deposits because I know that I'm human and sooner or later I'll screw up. And hopefully when I screw up, you don't cancel your account with me. You just go, oh, I know Kevin cares, but he's an idiot sometimes. He's a bonehead, but we're all boneheads sometimes. The concept of the emotional bank account, by the way, is a very good thing to understand in both your personal and your professional life. So when I post this, I'm actually making a deposit into everybody's bank account because I'm being a little bit of a ray of light in a dark world, okay? So hopefully you get the concept behind that. But let me show you something I do. About 5 years ago, I came across a website, and I don't even remember how I found it, but I really liked it, and it's called Get Stencil. So I'm about to give Get Stencil some props here. I log into my Get Stencil account every morning. Now, this is a free website, but I choose to pay $9 a month for the upgraded version, which gives me some additional bells and whistles. I go in here every morning, and I'm not a graphic designer, okay? So let me show you how easy it is to use this. Let me just get rid of a couple things, and let me just start from square one. I get up in the morning, and I have lots of my own quotes. If you've ever seen my quotes on Facebook or LinkedIn, those are all mine. Ever since I was a kid, I've been receiving quotes downloaded from God or from wherever, and I have literally thousands and thousands and they come every day. I can't stop them, and I don't want to stop them. But I'm not saying that you should be getting quotes every day. You're going to see in a couple seconds how to handle that. So what I do every morning, and I literally do this every morning, is I go to my list of quotes, which is in a Word document on my computer. I pick one of my quotes, and then I go and I create something like you're about to see right now. But watch what I do here. If I went here and I'm going to type in here, Georgie Lowe. Georgie Lowe is an amazing human being, but more importantly, she's loved in seemingly human form. Shh. Don't tell anyone. Okay. So now I've got this thing that I typed. I can move it around. I've got a left to right centering thing. I've got a top to bottom centering thing. I can change the fonts. There's like 100 different fonts in here. I can change the size. I can make it bigger. I can make it smaller. I can left center it. I can right center it. I can center it. I can change the colors. I just always do the same thing because I'm kind of a one-trick pony. I just started years ago making the outline black and the letters white. That's all. And I use the same font every day, not as a branding thing, just because I'm lazy, I guess. So now I've got Georgie Lowe is an amazing human being, but more importantly, she's loved and seemingly human form. Shh, don't tell anyone. Now I need a background picture. So I go up to photos, and there's over 2 million pictures in here, and they're always adding more, and they're all copyright and royalty free. So any word I type in here, if I type in here beach, now I get beach pictures over here, and if I click on one, it becomes the background picture. So this is how if you ever see my quotes, this is how I create them. I try to find a picture that I think would be appropriate based on the quote. What if I put something like clouds in here? Well, now I've got clouds, and now the Georgie's quote is in front of the crowd. So I'm really, I mean, there's millions of pictures in here. If I put in here smile, now I got smiles. So, you know, now I can put my smile sign, or I can do this goofy little thing here. You know, I can do whatever I want. I can play with this till the cows come home. I never understood the cows come home thing, but if I put in here, let's say field. We'll just wrap this up real quick. We'll do field, and there we go. So there's my Georgie Lowe's an amazing human being. There's my picture, and I can move the field around a little bit if I want. Then I say, oh, I need to put my logo on there. So I have my logo in 2 different colors. If you don't have a logo, it might make sense to go on Fiverr and get somebody to make you a logo for about 10 bucks. And if your logo, and even if it's not a logo, at least it could be your LinkedIn URL. So everybody has a public profile URL on LinkedIn. Here's mine. You want to customize that. That's for another webinar and another day. But I could just take this linkedin.com/in/Kevin Knebl. If you don't have a website, by the way, folks, LinkedIn, your LinkedIn profile is your website, if you think about it. So if you don't have a website, consider your LinkedIn profile your website. So if I'm looking to drive people to me, I have my own website, kevinknebl.com, but if I didn't, this would say linkedin.com/in/Kevin Knebl. So at least when somebody sees this, either today or in the future, they could go, oh, I wonder what that linkedin.com/in/Kevin Knebl thing is. Or they can go to kevinknebl.com and go. So Georgie, is there anything in this picture that you would consider me overtly and blatantly promoting myself or my product or service?
Not at all.
No, I haven't even mentioned what the heck I do for a living. All there is just this little logo in the corner, right? So creating these kind of things is very simple. It's not hard. I'm not a graphic designer. All you need is just kind of a good eye to see if it's centered or whatever, right? But let me show you how we can make it even simpler. Let's get rid of this. A little while back, they put a quote generator on Get Stencil. So if I type in here success, now it's going to pull up success-related quotes. What if I typed in here goals? I have goal-related quotes. What if I typed in here determination? I mean, you do business with entrepreneurs, Georgie. Let's type in entrepreneur. Now I've got entrepreneur quotes. So here we go. Let's just pick one of these. Let's go, I'm going to click on this one. And now it moves it over just by clicking on the quote. And again, now I can edit it. I can play around with the colors. I can play around with the size. I can do whatever the heck I want to do. put the author up there. And now I just pick a background. Let's just pick something like mountains. I get some mountains for my background. And what did it take me? 30 seconds to do this. I put my logo on it. So one of the advantages of having the premium account in Stencil is that you can create an archive. So I've created easily over 1,000 of my quotes. They're all here. They're all here. They're all backed up. Of course, I have a backup of them on my computer too, but there's advantages to using the premium version of this. If you don't use the premium version, the Stencil logo will go in the corner of the pictures. Well, I don't really want the Stencil logo. I want Kevin Knebl's logo. So there's advantages to spending $9. It's not a lot of money, it's $9. So this is what I do. Once I create this picture, then I just save it. Let me just move Georgie here because her picture's up on the bottom of my screen. All I have to do is hit save and then just download it to my computer and then upload it to LinkedIn. That's exactly what I do every day, by the way. So I upload it to LinkedIn and then I post it. It goes into the news feed and people see it. And now I'm top of mind again. Now, we don't really have enough time to get into the differences so much between a post and an article. I'll just say very quickly, if you post something as an article, this is kind of like a Word document. You come up with a title, then you add the content. If you want to add links, if you want to add stuff like that, you can do it. You upload a picture and then you publish. It still goes out into the news feed like a normal post, but now it will also remain on your LinkedIn profile forever or until you go in and manually delete it. Why might that be helpful? Well, if Georgie creates content around entrepreneurship, and then if she had the ability to start saving that stuff on her LinkedIn profile, she, over time, Georgie would create an archive of content which clearly shows the viewer, wow, this lady really knows her stuff. So if you're gonna post something that maybe you created or if it's content or something like that, you might wanna create it as an article. That way it'll stay on your LinkedIn profile and over time, you'll create an archive of content. I hope that made sense. I would normally take more time to explain that, but I'm moving kind of quickly because I see I've got about 15 minutes left. So we've talked a little bit now about inspiration, entertainment, information, education. Now let's talk about what should we do once we post it. What do we do next? So Georgie, if you would, please take yourself off mute again.
Okay.
Georgie, have you ever gone fishing before?
I have.
Okay, so when you go fishing and you feel a little nibble on your hook, you don't necessarily automatically know whether that's a big fish or a little fish.
True.
What determines whether you catch the fish or not is your skill as a fisher person, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I like to use metaphors a lot. I look at social media platforms like bodies of water. There are 2 billion fish on Facebook. There are 700 million fish on LinkedIn. There are 350 million fish on Twitter. So I'm referring to people as fish. If you're gonna go fishing, go where the fish are. Well, the people you wanna do business with, whatever that means, they're on LinkedIn. But one of the cool things about this is that when somebody clicks the like, the comment, or the share button, you're gonna get a little nibble on your hook. And unlike when you fish and you can't see the fish that's nibbling on your hook because it's too far under the water, here you can see the fish that are nibbling on your hook. Let me give you an example. So we post something on LinkedIn in the morning, and then if we have time during the day, we go to see if any fish are nibbling. If we don't have time, then the next morning when we're getting ready to post the next day's post, it would be good to take a minute and go see if any fish nibbled on the hook in the last 24 hours. So I go up here to where it says notifications. Do you see the little red 2, Georgie?
I do, yep.
Now there's multiple things that show up in the notifications. You'll see things like people having work anniversaries, birthdays, getting new jobs, and that's all good stuff. Those are all engagement opportunities for you to create conversations with people. But I want to see if any fish are nibbling on my hook. So I can see here that 21 minutes ago, while I've been flapping my gums on this Facebook Live webinar, 21 minutes ago, Pam Sherfacy was the most recent of 5 fish to nibble on this hook. And we'll go look at that in a minute. I can see 2 hours ago, Peter Jepson commented on something that I posted. I can see that 2 hours ago, Peter was also the 15th fish to nibble on whatever this hook was. I can see here that 8 hours ago, Stephen was the most recent fish to nibble on this. So what I want you all to see right now, folks, in front of your own eyes, you and I have heard a lot of so-called gurus and people that, talk a big game, and they have all kinds of clever marketing strategies. But if you actually press them for evidence of what they're doing actually working, you might get some humana, 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 humana. What I want you to see in front of your eyes right now is I'm not teaching you theoretical marketing BS. You're seeing that what I'm teaching you is actually working. There's people commenting on my posts. There's people mentioning me. But again, it's not because I'm famous or anything. It's because I'm just providing the content that the fish like. So let's go back. Let's go and let me just click on one of these things. I'll click on, here we go. 29 people, 29 fish nibbled on this hook. Let's go see what it is. Don't worry so much about what the hook is. That's just content, okay? You post good content, which I spent the last 45 minutes covering. You post good content, the fish will bite, okay? But I can see that there was 29 fish that have nibbled on my hook. I want to go see who those fish are. So now I can see who all the fish are that are nibbling on my hook. And then I determine which fish I want to reel in. I think that what I'm teaching right here is so ridiculously simple. I can't even imagine why people spend massive amounts of time and money on 1,000 different marketing strategies. And I'm not putting down marketing people, I'm just making an observation. Wouldn't it be so easier to spend nothing, share good content, see who's engaging with your content? Let's go back to my 3 steps. Step 1, you have to have a way to find the people, or the people have to have a way to find you. Georgie, me posting something on LinkedIn, is that me finding the people, or is that the people finding me?
I think that's the people finding you.
You're correct. These are fish swimming by my bait, okay? Then I can look to see who they are. Now, don't be fooled. Well, Kevin, you're already first degrees with these people. That doesn't mean that they're clients of mine. Maybe I still want to do business with, but let me ask you a question, Georgie. If when you post something on LinkedIn, it goes out to your first degree connections, how did these second degree people even see it?
I'm going to guess because they might be first degree to those, your first degree people, part of their network.
Well, they are, but just because they're connected to people I'm connected to, that wouldn't give them the ability to see what I'm posting. So here's the answer. There's a couple answers. And if you really hear what I'm about to say next and you wrap your head around it, it's pretty mind-boggling. If I went on LinkedIn right now, let me just open another LinkedIn page. If I went on LinkedIn, let me ask you this question, Georgie, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot. It's just more interactive if I ask you some of these things.
Yeah.
If I went on LinkedIn right now, and I can see that, let me just pick one at random. I see that Matt Javitt posted this. If I were to click the like button on that right now, Georgie, who would be notified that Kevin Knebl liked Matt Javitt's post?
Matt.
He would be notified. Who else, Georgie?
Maybe everyone in Matt's network?
That's correct. Every one of Matt's connections would see that some guy named Kevin Knebl just clicked the like button on his post. Can you think of anybody else that would see it, Georgie?
I want to say anyone on LinkedIn if you have a public profile.
No, it wouldn't be that because there's 700 million people. It would
All
be
right.
all of my connections.
Oh, right. Okay.
Now, let me say this very slowly because I want people to hear it slowly. Wouldn't it be intelligent to go onto LinkedIn every day and just start liking some of the other stuff that other people post? I'm not saying do it indiscriminately and just go click like on things you don't like. I'm saying, wouldn't it be good to actually like some other people's content, which would be a way of appreciating them, what Dale Carnegie referred to as taking a sincere interest in other people? Because even if you didn't post anything, you would start showing up in the newsfeed as somebody that's engaging with other people. Let's take it one step further. If there was somebody you wanted to do business with, whatever that means, wouldn't it be smart to go look at what they're posting and then go like it? Because they'll be notified of that. You will then come into their awareness. Maybe a week later, not only like it, but add a comment. Hey, Matt, thanks for posting that. That was really helpful. Hope you're having a great day. Now you're starting to build know, like, trust. You see, folks, these 3 steps that I'm teaching, while they sound overly simplistic, they're really not. They're actually very, very practical because you did these 3 steps with every job you ever got, every date you ever went out on, every client you've ever brought on board, but you probably never thought of it this way. So let's go back to the people that are engaging with my content. I can see that 29 fish nibbled on my hook. All I have to do now is say to myself, which of these fish would I like to reel in? Which of these fish would I like to hire me for private coaching or a speaking engagement? Because if I want that, I have to go to step 2. There's no other way around it. So let's just, for demonstration purposes, let's say I want to get hired by Keith Tully. I'm a first degree, but I really don't know this guy. I open up his LinkedIn profile and I say, okay, what can I learn about Keith? What's he willing to tell me? He went to West Point. He's an author like me. He lives in the greater New York City area. We have 115 mutual friends. So my goal now is to get a conversation started with Keith Tully, because I know he's never going to hire me without a conversation taking place. So Georgie, I'm going to give you 2 examples of how I could try to start a conversation with Keith Tully.
Okay.
You tell me which of these 2 examples you think would have a greater likelihood of receiving a reply.
All right.
Okay. Here's example number 1. I send him this message. Hey, Keith, I noticed you clicked the like button on my picture. Want to hire me for private coaching? That's example number 1. You're already chuckling. You know that it's not the one, right? By the way, folks, that's what you've been taught to do since day 1. You've been taught to go find your prospects and then just beat them up with your product or service. I have a very simple question. How's it working? What do they say? The height of insanity is to do the same thing over and over and expect a different result. If it ain't working, folks, stop doing it. Do what you did with your spouse. Do what you did with somebody you went on a date with once. Slow down a little bit. Start a conversation. Okay? It's so simple. You need to unlearn the unnatural things that you've been taught to do, which are highly ineffective. But a bunch of so-called self-proclaimed gurus told you to do this stuff. By the way, in my experience, the people that call themselves gurus because they can't spell charlatan, okay? So you can always tell a tree by the fruit it bears, right? If somebody's telling you to do some marketing strategy and it just doesn't feel right to you, don't do it. The fact that it doesn't feel right is the evidence that it's not right. Right? Don't disregard your feelings. You were given your feelings for a reason, right? So let me give you a second example, Georgie. Hey, Keith, Kev here. Noticed you clicked the like button on my picture. Thanks a lot, brother. I appreciate it. I just also noticed that you went to West Point. Thanks for your service. Notice that you live in the greater New York City area. I used to live in Jersey, and we have 115 mutual friends, small world. Anyway, if you're ever on the Oregon coast, give me a shout. I'll buy the first round in the pub. Rock on. I would predict, based on many, many, many years of evidence, that he would probably reply to that. Once he replies, Georgie, will I have accomplished step 1 and step 2?
Yes, you will.
Yes, I will. Now, again, this webinar today is not designed to be an in-depth boot camp. I'm just giving you a high-level overview on why posting things and what to post and then what to do with the people that are engaging with your posts. It makes a lot of sense that if you're going to be on a social platform, be active on the platform, post stuff. Georgie, let me ask you a question or two.
Okay.
Would it, if you and the other viewers are understanding what I'm saying, wouldn't it be true that every person that clicks like, comment, or share on something that I post would be an opportunity for me to engage in a private conversation?
Absolutely.
That's true, right?
Yes.
I'm now going to ask you a question that you have absolutely no ability to answer.
All right.
But I'm going to ask it of you and the couple of people that are actually live watching this. I want those of you that hear this question to type into the chat box what you think the answer is. Here's my question. I'm very active on 4 social platforms: LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you were to add up all the likes, comments, and shares that I get in any 24-hour period, I don't care if it's 6 a.m. to 6 a.m. or midnight to midnight, doesn't matter to me. If you were to add up the likes, comments, and shares I get across those 4 platforms, I want you to type into the chat box a guess of how many likes, comments, and shares I average in a 24-hour period. But let me explain why I'm asking this question, because it sounds like I'm about to try and pretend that I'm so popular, right? No, 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 no. Popularity doesn't buy groceries, okay? I want you to hear the answer to this, and I want you to deeply understand that every person that clicks like, comment, or share on something I post is somebody that I could engage in a non-salesy, sincere, and authentic conversation with. It's been my experience after working with countless people for many years that the #1 reason why most people don't succeed at a higher level, at whatever it is they're doing, is purely because they just don't have enough conversations going with enough people at the same time. It's no more complex than that. Now, ideally, having the conversations with the right people, but yeah, that's true, but we have to start conversations somewhere. So Georgie, take a wild guess on an average 24-hour period. How many likes, comments, and shares do you think I get across LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram?
I'm going to guess about, I'm going to say at least 200. Probably more, but at least 200.
Has anybody typed any answers in?
Nope, no one's typed yet.
All right, so I'm not going to wait for them because time's ticking.
Yep.
Here's the answer.
Okay.
I average 500 to 5,000 likes, comments, and shares a day.
Wow.
Now, before you think, wow, Kevin, you're so popular, popularity is not my goal. Conversation is my goal. In my world, all roads lead to conversation, okay? So, if you hear what I'm really saying, I have no lack of conversational abilities with people, right? So for me, I use this approach. I look at who are the people that are clicking the like, the comment, and the share. And then unlike what most people do in marketing, which is throw a lot of mud on the wall and hope somebody wants what you have, I'm taking the complete opposite approach. I'm choosing who I want to do business with. They're not choosing me. I'm choosing them. And then I just start to get them to know me, like me, and trust me by being knowable, likable, and trustable. This isn't some reverse psychology mind trick. This is called building relationships. That's all this is. But it's in some ways quite the opposite of what you and I have been taught to do. we've been taught to just talk about ourselves and try to be the smartest person in the room and dominate the conversation and, crush your competitors and dominate the market. And oh man, this isn't a war. This is love. Let's go love the people. Let's engage them in conversation. Let's let them see that we take a sincere interest in them, so that when we do bring into the conversation at the appropriate time how we can help them, they actually listen with an open mind. Most people are trying to fine-tune their elevator pitches, but it doesn't matter, because I don't care how good your elevator pitch is, if it's being heard through a filter of skepticism and cynicism, it's not being heard. But if I can get you to know me, like me, and trust me a little bit, even if my elevator pitch sucks, at least then you're going to hear what I'm saying, because at least you know that I have your best interests at heart. So, in wrapping this up, because we're right about that time, decide, commit that if you're going to be on a platform, be on the platform. If you're going to be on LinkedIn, post something once a day on LinkedIn. Only post once a week at the most about yourself. The rest of the time, post some content that you think other people will see value in, and then mine the engagement. Look and see who's clicking the like, comment, and share button. Just like a gym, don't expect to start posting stuff once a day and a week later, Kevin, how come the clouds haven't parted and money hasn't fallen out of heaven? Because that's not how exercise works. You got to go to the gym repeatedly for a while before you're going to see any improvement. But once it starts improving, it'll start to go very quickly. The challenge is most people's idea of long-term commitment is dinner, right? So you need to decide that if you're going to do something, you got to do it. Otherwise, don't sit around and complain about, I'm not getting good results. Well, you want to know why I get the results I get? It's because I'm just more consistent than most people. Anybody that's followed me on Facebook for the last 11 years knows that every morning, and I mean every morning, Kevin's going to post one of his quotes. Kevin's going to post his day number and thank God for another day. As they say in Jersey, any day you wake up without a chalk line around your body's a good day, right? The reason why people know me, one of the reasons why people know me and like me and trust me a lot is because I'm so damn consistent. I'm like, they can set their watch to me. They know I'm going to post something uplifting. They know I'm going to post one of my quotes. They know I'm going to thank God for another day. It's just consistency. That among other things, leads to know, like, trust. So I think that's really all I kind of want to say about that. As far as Gump says, I hope this has been helpful. I'm guessing there's probably not any questions in the queue right now, Georgie?
There's one, but I think you actually covered it. So one was, how do you approach the people who like you, which I think you covered that already.
Right.
And then I'm not exactly sure what this one means, but it says, see if Kev will address the people looked at your profile they send weekly.
That's going to be another webinar for another day.
Perfect.
That's probably John.
Yep.
He's been asking me to cover that for some time now. But that's a longer topic for another time. So that's it, folks. If this has been helpful, I have some special things that I'm doing with some of my online training content where I've massively reduced the investment for some of that. If you're interested in learning about that, email me. I'm not going to explain it right now in this webinar. I just don't have the time. I don't want to abuse the time. But here's my email address, kevin@kevinknebl.com. If you email me and say, hey, Kevin, how do I get some of your online training content at a massive discount or potentially for free, email me and I'll communicate with you. I think the right thing to do in this crazy time when so many people are out of work is to kind of pay it forward and help people. I'm doing that in various ways, including this webinar, by the way. Didn't cost you a dime. Hopefully you got some nuggets out of it. Please feel free to share it with other people. This is going to be posted on Facebook. It's going to be posted on LinkedIn, my YouTube channel. Please feel free to send me a LinkedIn invitation. Please feel free to follow me on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. Sign up for my newsletter on my website. I haven't sent out a newsletter in a while. I'm getting ready to start doing that again. The last 1.5 to 2 years of my life has been pretty crazy on a couple different levels, but we won't talk about that right now. I'll get back to the newsletter thing here before too long. I just want to say thank you. I hope you got some value out of this. I hope that this kind of gave you a couple of ideas that you could use. I want to say thank you to Georgie. Georgie, you're awesome. Thank you for helping me with the technology side of this.
You're very welcome.
Always great to see your smiling face and hear your voice. So thank you. And folks, I'm going to, excuse me, that's not the virus, by the way. I'm going to sign off from beautiful Manzanita, Oregon. The sun should be setting right about now, but it looks like it's behind the clouds. But that's still a pretty nice view. That rock right there is 270 feet high. That's a 27-story building. But here's the live shot just down the road a little bit from me at an RV resort from their webcam. And it's, you know, it's a beautiful day on the Oregon coast. I hope it's nice where you are. I hope you're hanging in there despite all the Corona craziness. I love you. Go have a great rest of your night. If I could ever help you in any way, just reach out to me. I'm a phone call or an email away. God bless, folks. God bless, Georgie. I'll talk to you later. Thanks, folks. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.